Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. I wanted to show you this before we get going. iTrustCapital has been ranked the best crypto IRA company in 2025 by IRAempire.com. And they've got an entire review here. Let's see. Leading fintech software platform, alternative assets. Company provides 24/7 access to digital assets, cryptocurrencies, and precious metals through self-directed tax-advantaged IRA and non-IRA options, leveraging highly secured closed-loop system and third-party U.S. banks custodian. iTrustCapital provides greater asset protection flexibility for a broad range of retail and institutional clients. They've earned more than 9,500 five-star client service ratings from Google and Trustpilot. Successfully executed more than 14 billion in crypto transactions to date. And then they've got experienced leadership, 24/7 access, offers gold and silver, non-IRA crypto accounts, Solana staking, dozens of cryptocurrencies, closed loop security system. One of the many reasons that iTrustCapital.com is one of my partners. If you want to open an account, I have 2 IRAs there. If you want to open an account, you can go to iTrustCapital.com/XRPArmy, and if you look for the promo code, you can get a $100 funding bonus. You can open IRAs and a premium or a premium custody account. I have both, and that's they accept XRP. You can buy XRP in an IRA, but you can also transfer XRP to a premium custody account, which is recent. And it is a good thing to have free institutional custody. So that's the dealio. All right, we've got an XRP 305. Everything's kind of sitting tight. No, this is another update from Mark Fagel about the Ripple case. Since these accounts garble everything, let's be clear. It's 100% certain that neither party has any interest in pursuing its respective appeal. At this point, neither party has filed papers to dismiss its appeal. They will likely do this jointly once the SEC approves. So my understanding is the SEC has to vote on this deal. But it's coming. Okay, Goldman Sachs says they expect the FOMC to deliver 3 consecutive 25 BP cuts in basis points cuts in September. It's almost like this is all being timed, folks, for legislation. We shall see. The thing will go off. Now, I can't let this go because this is a lie that is intentionally told over and over. And the lie is that Bitcoin is the only scarce asset on earth.
Not to be a chartist to say, okay, they kind of trade in tandem here.
Well, one thing we know is that they're going to continue to debase, and liquidity has been at all-time highs, and that's largely because we're running these massive fiscal deficits. And guess what? They're going to continue. The projections made for the rest of the year is that we're going to be basically issuing about $18 billion worth of debt per day for the rest of the year, for the rest of 2025. So the thing you need is the one thing immune to currency debasement, immune to inflation, and that is Bitcoin.
It's not the one thing. There's a lot of them that have limited supply, but XRP is one of them, and it's even better than Bitcoin because it's deflationary and XRP is burned on every transaction. This woman knows this full well, but I called her out. I also called Charles Payne out because this is how you know it's a psyop, folks. These media people keep putting these guys on. They let the lie go, and they don't challenge it ever. Well, I'm going to challenge it because it's a lie, and they know it's a lie. Bitcoin's the only scarce asset. That's the lie. The truth is, these are just some of the digital assets with fixed supply. XRP, ADA, Link, XLM, HBAR, SUI. There are others. No fixed supply, similar to how the Fed prints money at will. Ethereum and Solana, they are not going to tell you that either. The whole reason we all got here, most of us, is because of the idea that you could have this fixed supply or fixed supply and deflationary asset like XRP. That was my starting point that attracted me to this space. Only later did I understand how much better XRP was than Bitcoin. Faster, less expensive, all the things we know, and the fact that you can tokenize real world assets on it. You can't do it on Bitcoin. It's a no-brainer. I'm going to go in further detail about this and show you some of the digital assets that are also fixed supply and where you can check on that, which I think is step one when you're deciding whether to invest in a digital asset. Why would you want to? You can own the US dollar and have them printed into oblivion. What's the difference between Ethereum and Solana? If they can create them at will, what in the world? Why would I want to own that? But I'll go in further depth in that in the private group, daixrp.com. Okay, here's Matt Hogan. This guy, he knows.
Absolutely. So the big thing that's going to happen is growth. The U.S. government, which is not like a bullish analyst, says that stablecoins could go from $250 billion to $3 trillion by 2030. That's 4+ years away. That's a 10 or 12xing of the market. That's an enormous growth. I think they may be undercounting, but even if we get that, it's a massive investment opportunity. Do I think we'll see Amazon and Walmart directly issue stablecoins? I'm not sure, but will they get involved by allowing stablecoins to be used for paying for things on their site, maybe offering discounts, maybe getting a share of revenue? I think that's what will happen. I think stablecoins are going to fundamentally change the way we do payments in the US, which is hard for people to imagine. But I would take us back to previous times we were able to do things electronically that we previously couldn't. Things like email, disrupting how we move information around the world. Stablecoins are like that for money. It makes the money frictionless, global, and instant. I think it's going to be a major change.
And what does this mean for your two market leaders in this space, Tether and USDC?
Yeah, huge market opening. I mean, again, the government says this will 12x over the next 4 years. You might wonder, how will they compete with JP Morgan, with Bank of America, with other financial giants that come into the market? The history of financial innovation says, yes, those giants get a stake, but the crypto native or the native companies that built that industry do very well. As you know, I come from an ETF background. The largest ETF company today is BlackRock, but they had to acquire that firm because it grew outside of the traditional mutual fund industry. Often these people discount these native players. I think Circle is a generational company. I think Coinbase is a generational company. I think it could one day be $1 trillion company if it continues to execute year after year. So I wouldn't
If Circle's a generational company, then Ripple is a multi-generational, multi-global company. And then this is Sandy Call. Now she is coming to Ripple Swell this year.
Yeah, I think that as we see volumes grow, we'll be able to bring down all of those minimums. But I think that for now, what we're finding is we're more interested in extending across the different chains and creating that interconnectivity. And then we're just working with each chain where that chain is at the time to figure out the best way of operating with them. So we believe that there's going to be a multi-chain future. We think that having that connectivity across the chains is going to be an important differentiator. This is why we also run our own nodes across as many of the chains we operate on as possible, because we think that's part of our due diligence in being a member of this network. So right now, because it's so early in the development, we're focused more on making sure we're in the right ecosystems. And then over time, we trust that the economics will just get better and better for our customers and for ourselves.
On this channel, we don't focus on cartoon monkeys and digital assets that don't have utility. What matters is this multi-chain world she's talking about. And I think there will be probably 20 to 30 that are in the Wall Street game that are a part of this multi-chain world. And I believe XRP will be at the center of it all. This is excuse me. This is Marcus Infanger. In a recent conversation with this guy, we discussed how Ripple is unlocking the next phase of blockchain utility for institutions on the XRP ledger. XRPL is acting as a foundational layer for financial applications such as tokenized real-world assets. As these use cases are established on the XRPL, new features such as the recent launch EVM sidechain, further enabling programmable compliant DeFi and paving the way for a multi-chain future. Now here we have Cynthia Loomis about the Fed chair.
But President Trump said today, seemed to clarify that he's not going to fire him. So we got to wait until May. And Scott Bessent is going to he's holding a process. Let me ask you something you mentioned before on digital assets. Can we focus on that for a minute? What's he done wrong?
Well, he put banks out of business. And he has withheld master accounts from financial institutions that...
Wait a minute. Ripple's just applied for a master account.
It would seem by statute to qualify to receive them. I think he's overextended his authority. And in addition to that, it's like whack-a-mole trying to do business with the Fed. Nobody will take responsibility for who is the bottom line on dealing with issues, whether it's the Fed presidents, the bank presidents, the head of bank supervision, the chair of the Federal Reserve.
The Fed is the final domino to fall in crypto's dominance. Once the Fed gets on board, it is on like Donkey Kong, and it feels like it's imminent. The White House is preparing an executive order to target banks that discriminate against conservatives and crypto companies, addressing debanking practices with potential fines and penalties. This Fed thing's coming to a head. Now, I'm going to finish with this. You got to hear this. This is the CEO of ArchX. Okay, this guy right here.
Where do you think we are in regards to the kind of tokenization of everything? You know, you guys are tokenization of everything, not the right statement, but the kind of tokenization of financial instruments. You know, where do you think we are in regards to that? This, of course, was the UK's first kind of live use case of digital assets. So obviously we're right at the start. You know, what's in store for us?
Well, we not so long ago, we announced with Bailey Gifford, we did the first natively digital tokenization of a fund in the UK. We're doing this collateral transaction. But like the difference here, we've been around 7 and a bit years now. But the difference now is, this Lloyds and Aberdeen transaction, that required them onboarding us as a counterpart to work with them. And the same with Bailey Gifford as well. So, this is no longer just Archax and any other fintech stroke startup in the space talking about this happening. All of the big guys now agree this is happening and they're starting to adjust their processes for it. So to answer your question, I thought we'd be a lot further on than we are now, but that was just obviously founder optimism, without which we might not even be here. But we're somewhere along that journey. Regulation is being put in place across every major jurisdiction in the world. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF, which I think is fascinating, was when I checked the other day, and it's more than that now, I'm sure, was 83 billion, the fastest ever to get to that level in 300 odd days and 5 times quicker than any other, the 20th biggest ETF now. So now you've got people interested, you've got insane demand for these products as shown by all the Bitcoin treasury stuff, people learning about it all the time. You've got a young generation that seems way more fascinated in digital assets than they ever were in traditional securities. You've got banks and institutions now playing catch up to make sure they don't get disrupted and the regulation being put in place. So slowly you've got like all of these foundational blocks that are being put in place, which frankly we were missing for the first 4 or 5 years of our existence. And we were talking about the benefits, but it was quite hard to demonstrate them. But now you're starting to get use cases like Nest, where people are seeing real value, savings in cost, faster processing, more efficiencies. In the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to see meaningful shifts, and it only takes someone like DTC or Euroclear to announce that they're going fully digital, and that's it. Most of the world's assets are moving on chain.
I know that they did their...
Okay, whoops, accidentally did that. Let me go back here. There we go. Okay. This is the same guy that you just heard.
30 to 50 trillion, all on XRP, all trading on Archax. Here we go. Behind my original projections, but the total market is 1.4 quadrillion, everything that's ever out there. And if you start looking across any of those asset classes, they're all starting to move on chain already. And the ease with which we've seen people interested in money market funds, tokenized treasuries, and those types of instruments, the support for stable coins, when you're talking about replacing cash, when I see DTCC, Euroclear, Clearstream, it only takes one of them to flip onto natively digital, and that's trillions of assets on its own that move. So, tens of trillions, I think we could see. And bearing in mind it's 1.4 quadrillion, this is still a tiny slice of a huge market. 30 to 50 trillion, all on XRP, all trading on Artex.
Here we go, $50 trillion. 2 years from now, Ripple, Twitter will replay the session.
That sounds like something that could lead you to a $1,000 XRP in 2030, like Dom from Easy A said. Okay, we're going to go on DAIXRP.com. That's the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, you can click the join button below any of my YouTube videos, or you can subscribe on X. Hit the subscribe button. We do the full video plus the extended video, no commercials. I'm going to show you how you can check to see which digital assets have an unlimited supply and which ones have a limited supply, because to me that's the starting point if you're getting into digital assets. We got some other stuff too. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Away we go.